This already just now, but I figured I'd make a recording because this is actually pretty important. So if you see this, right, I'm growing this tomato from a two-stem system purposely, okay? And what I do normally with things like this, I cut this bottom stem out because I don't like these things touching the ground. Whenever you have anything touching the ground, it creates diseases. Now if you look at this, these two branches I cut, right? But when you see this, it's a lot cleaner. But you also have this one here that's going to grow eventually to the ground. So we need to cut those. We don't want those. All right. And maybe even this one will get cut later on. I may even put more dirt in here and put some mulch so that it doesn't erode over when I water it. But check this out. There was a stem here. There was a stem right there. And there was a stem right there, and they were like crossing each other in here. So I made it where now there's more of an open space here in the middle, okay, for airflow. And I like it like that, okay, because when you do that, it prevents viruses, it prevents diseases, it prevents all that good stuff. So that is a very important best practice. And you know what? I'm even going to cut these down here off. I am making that business decision right now. And what I am going to do is I'm going to put some more, I'm going to pack more soil up until about here. And then what I'm going to do is add mulch in there. And you can already see that this little lining there is going to hold it off from eroding over. And I'll show you how that looks. All right. So as you can see, I've got a lot of compost in here. As you can see how this looks. I like the texture of this. I also have other kind of soil, but you see that this is very, it compacts. I like this, and I also got a little bit of water in this pot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be putting some of this soil in here and mixing it a little bit with that water so it compacts and it kind of stays together while I put the mulch over the soil, and then it won't erode. I'm going to show you how I do that because I like to. So that tomato plant actually is buried all the way down to the bottom of the pot, and tomato plants love to be buried deep. So I bought that tomato plant small and I buried it all the way down to the bottom. When it started getting longer, all I did was just kept adding soil to it, sort of like what we do with potatoes. And I just keep cutting the bottom leaves off of it. And when you cut the bottom leaves off of it, you just allow the stem that's under the ground to start rooting. And that's basically the best way to get it to develop a very strong root system. And then you got some strong tomato plants with some great tomatoes. So give me a quick second. I'm going to put this in. All right, so I'm going to try to do this with one hand, obviously. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this nice compacted moist soil and I'm going to apply it to the base of this tomato plant. Now I could cut one side off and all the energy would get transferred here and it'll eventually develop another stem system, which isn't really a bad idea, to be honest with you. It's something that I would actually ponder on doing now, to be honest with you. But you know that I can make another plant out of this side, right? What I can do is either pack this in and let it develop some roots here and then cut it, or cut it, put it in a bottle of water and let it basically establish some roots in there, while I can pack this maybe even higher than this. You know what I'm saying? Because I can make a separate plant out of it. So I may just do that. All right, so check this out. This is going to be kind of brutal because half of this plant's going to go. But got to do what you got to do. See? So this now I will put in water. All right, I'm going to cut the bottom stems of these and just pretty much put it in water from where my fingers are at, like where I'm going to cut those two stems. I'm going to put the water, and all that stick is going to be in the water. That'll look like it'll wilt for a couple days or a day maybe, and then it'll come back it'll start perking up again. But here's the thing though, this is very beneficial, burying the tomato plant as much as possible. Now this I will pack just like this, okay? Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put wood chips on top, and I'm gonna show you how that comes out. But you could plant this as high as you could. It's gonna be great, just like that. This is kind of like, you know, this is compost, but it's kind of like clay, you get what I'm saying? So it kind of like sticks pretty well. Once I put the compost on it, it'll weigh it down, but you can see how tall I'm going. Then the compost is basically gonna be laying on this. I've done this a million times, so I know this works perfectly fine. Stay tuned. All right, so here's the stem. You can see cutting that, got a bottle of water, and then I'm going to be basically placing that, and I'll be filling up the bottle of water. Try to get a little more from this one here. It's hard, kind of hard doing this with one hand, but so you see that right where I cut it. We're gonna keep it away from the sun, obviously, but we'll keep it here. As you can see, I've got this that I've got some seedlings already planted in, but look how perky this is. There's no roots on it yet, but soon it's gonna have roots. Once I see some roots forming on it, I'll put it in the soil, and I got another tomato plant. You could even make these tomato plants. Like these, actually, if you cut the ends of these, like, and then just pretty much put it in water up to about here, you'll start growing a plant out of this. Like, it's these plants are so easy to multiply, it's not even funny. All right, so as you can see, I've got a lot of this stuff here. I've got a whole pile in the back of this property that my friend brought from his he bought me a truckload. But what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna use two hands to do this, I'm gonna pack it in really well, and then I'm gonna show you how it looks afterwards. All right, so we got the hose running, right? What I am gonna do is I'm gonna take two more of these stems off at the bottom. So you see I just took off the one from this side right here, and then the other one there. Now with that, that's how it came out. And I'm gonna tell you right now, as you're watering this or the rain falls on it, within a couple days this packs in very, very well. So I want you to see this. Look at this. See how it stays there? I'm using a pretty strong stream here. You see that? Directly on it. And look. So imagine if it rains or whatnot, it'll still stay packed in there. But as the roots develop, it will actually start packing in there very, very well. Now, I've gone as far before as to adding a couple stakes on the side of those things and putting more soil on it and more mulch, and it's literally held off up to a third floor. But I'm not going to do that with this one. What I do want to do is let it create another sucker, because I do want a two stem system on it. So, but I wanted it to be a little bit deeper before the second, because that other second stem system was kind of like was kind of low. So there's what I'm talking about. I planted this all the way down to here, and then it grew, and as it was growing, I kept putting in soil. This happened while we were still getting like certain frost. I kept putting it inside the greenhouse and then taking it out. So, but before I did that, I put a can of sardines in there. That's the best fertilizer for tomatoes. This tomato plant grew so quickly, it's not even funny. Where I remember when I bought it with my son, and he saw it within a few days later, he's like, man, he couldn't believe how big it got. So you can see right now how big this is. Tomorrow's the 1st of May, and you can see that in just a few days, this plant's probably going to top the top of this already. And aside from that, I'm not going to take out the next sucker. So I might get another sucker, not down here. I already pulled out these suckers down here. But while this grows, I might get that other sucker, and I want that other stem to grow above that level. So that's my plan. And then, you know, I've got other kind of tomatoes. I've got grape tomatoes, like the super sweet 101 ones, the beefsteaks. I forgot which ones these are. They're labeled, but, you know, as they come up, I already know which ones they are as they come up. But if I want to know which ones they are, I could just like dig on the side of there. I got the label, so just to make sure I don't forget, I actually write it out and I put the label in there because I separate the seeds. But yeah, that's basically how I take care of the tomato plants. And I harvest so many tomatoes that sometimes I don't even know what to do with them. I've planted them directly on the ground, and that is insane because this is very fertile ground here. Took years to actually get this the way it is. What I am going to do is put some more wood chips on this so that I can keep the grass down. But it's very cool. That's just basically it. This time I just want to grow everything in pots, with the exception of the, you know, I've got watermelons directly in the soil. And as you can see, I got them like this is because, you know, I got cats. So sometimes they run around and that keeps them protected. As you can see, they haven't messed with that. Same thing with here. Once they get big enough, it doesn't matter, but it's when they're seedlings that's the problem. So you can see those are coming up already. And I've even got more watermelons here, and I've got a lot more on the other side of the property. But you can see the amount of watermelons growing here. Those sticks is just that, again, the cats don't like sit on it because they'll just sit on the plants. They don't care. You know what I'm saying? They're just they're just like that. You see, I got these in pots here, and they're doing very well. So yeah, stay tuned. It's going to be a very, very good year. I've got all the grapes up, trellises up. See what I'm saying? And these are growing a lot of grapes. So stay tuned. It's going to be a good year. A very, very good year. We'll talk soon.